Hello there and welcome to Fuel Junky, every car lover's favorite place to come down and enjoy the best things in life. The Nissan Skyline R35 GTR nismo got a facelift not long ago, so obviously today's video is all about that. See for yourself what has changed, what has not, and if the huge price tag is really worth it. Apart from that, we will look at the difference between this beast and the quote-unquote normal or standard GTR. I don't want to tease you for too long, so without further ado, let's get right into it. We start with the exterior today. And what catches your eye more than this massive big wing on the back? Of course, it's made out of carbon fiber, like many more things in and on this car. The boot lid might have paint on it, but it's made out of carbon fiber. The back diffuser, carbon fiber. The front splitter, carbon fiber. The new air vents on the side, carbon fiber. Inside, more carbon fiber. Essentially, the whole front part of the Nismo GTR is carbon fiber. But before we go too far, let's talk about this new addition on the outside. The air vents over the tires. Like I said, they are made out of carbon, but it's not what they are made of. That's interesting. But why they are there? First of all, they are there to let the pressurized air out that comes from the brakes to reduce the lift. And they work together with the big wing at the back to produce 6 kilos more of downforce. The great sound of this car doesn't come from nothing. The titanium exhaust is the same as in the standard GTR, but that's totally okay, don't you agree? The wheels got a facelift too. In addition to a new design, they are also 5 grams less each than previous models. Not much, but every little bit counts. Now let's risk a look inside. Like I said, a lot of carbon fiber in here as well. The carbon fiber bucket seats work great with the Alcantara steering wheel, and the center console with the infamous Nismo badge are also made out of carbon. The seats are made in collaboration with Recaro and have this nice red stitching on them. The roof inside and the dashboard are made out of this beautiful Alcantara leather. And because this is not a normal GTR, you have to have the red stitching like mentioned before, but there is a thing that I love, and I believe you guys know already. We have an analog rev counter and speedometer. And they are red. Red stands for the Nismo version, of course. There is a back seat row, but like in the new BMW M4, there is no space for anyone to comfortably sit there. Anyway, if you want to see our very first video in our new Versus series, where we let 2 cars fight to the death, okay, maybe not so far, but we will compare them and see who is the better fighter, then click here to watch that video. Now where put your passengers when you can't put them on the back seats? Anyway, the trunk has a quite bit of space for whatever you want to put there. 315 liters is very good for a sports car. You see, in the Audi R8 it's 112 liters, and in the Porsche 911 it's a little over 130 liters. Even combined, they don't have so much room as the GTR from Nismo. Now we go right through to the most important and most exciting stuff. But before that, I have to tell you how much this car costs. It's nothing to brag about, it's nearly ridiculous. It's more than a Lamborghini Huracan and even more than a Porsche 911 Turbo S. The starting price of the new Nissan Skyline R35 GTR nismo is over 210,000 euros. The Lamborghini costs around 175,000 and the Turbo S from Porsche comes in at around 197,000. So here you have to choose, because these other cars are just as good as the Nissan in my opinion. I was and I am a big fan of the Nissan Skyline GTR, but over 200,000 euros, you start to question if you really need that, or if you just get yourself a quote-unquote base level GTR. And maybe that's the right call, because the engine stays the same, only now they took out the old turbos and put the turbos from the GT racing car in. And therefore the Nismo facelift now does 30 horsepower more than its base level counterpart. Now the stats. The engine is the same 3.8 liter twin turbo charged V6 with now 600 horsepower and 652 Nm of torque. It doesn't seem like much improvement, if you consider that the R35 Skyline is out now for 14 years. But the Japanese manufacturer believes in consistent and not rushed improvements. They like to make subtle changes, but they always improve. And why change something that's running, right? If you watched our video on the R34 GTR, you know that the engine is handmade by one of 5 master craftsmen. If you want to watch the legendary R34 in action, click here. In this car the engine is in the front, but the transmission is in the back. That doesn't affect the shifting speed though. It's supposed to be even quicker now in the facelift model. 0 to 60 is nothing for the Nismo version. With launch control, Nissan states a time of 2.5 seconds. That's incredibly fast. Of course, this is due to a very good all-wheel drive system and a good launch control. With that, a top speed of around 205 miles per hour or 315 km an hour is not a problem for this car. And when you are going that fast, you need damn good brakes. The Nismo version of the Skyline GTR has the largest brakes ever fitted to a Japanese production car. 410mm carbon ceramic discs in the front with a 6-piston caliber. And at the back there are two 390mm carbon ceramic discs with 4-piston brake calibers. Why are they yellow, you might ask? And even if you didn't want to ask, here's the answer. The brake calibers are yellow because that's the only paint which is capable to survive a temperature of over 1000 degrees Celsius. The Nismo is also lighter than the standard GTR. The standard GTR is 41 kilos heavier. Not a lot because the whole car still weighs in at around 1.7 tons. Apparently they have retuned the steering in here, so Nissan says it's even more responsive than in the non-Nismo version. There's only one way to find out, and that would be to drive it. But I don't have 210,000 euros, so for now, yeah, we will continue to look at some footage together. In terms of technology, there's not much to say, because the car was nearly perfect when it came out, so it's only natural that they won't have to change much. A funny little fact on side note, the GTR Nismo has a stability control and therefore a stability control button. But if you turn it off all the way, you effectively invalidate its warranty. Now you might think, why did they even bother to give us the option of turning it off? Well, they say it's supposed to help you in snowy conditions. And how do they want to know? That brings us to even more things that they could have improved in this nearly perfect car. There is no blind spot warning, no automatic emergency braking, no lane keeping assistant and no adaptive cruise control. Although that can be upgraded for a little extra cash. Overall, the interior and technology is not outdated, but it's on the older sides of things. But hey, parking sensors are standard. And now you have an R mode. I didn't know that the old one had no R mode, but you have an R mode now. Now, if that sounded a little bit too harsh for some, don't you think I don't love this car? It's amazing and looks like an absolute beast. And considering that the base of the car and the engine are nearly 14 years old, of course there were changes made, and this is the second facelift of the Skyline GTR Nismo. The first facelift it received was back in 2017 and now the second in 2021. This car is special, but just how special you can only begin to understand if you look down to the rims. Special Dunlop tires specially produced for this car and upgraded Bilstein 3-mode adaptive damper system called Damptronic, making the high price a bit more understandable. And also the last thing on this list can help the Nismo GTR to be even quicker. The Nismo namely comes with a recalibrated 6-speed dual-clutch automatic gearbox for even quicker shifts than the GTR without the badge. So, my final opinion on this car. What can I say? Even though its technology might not be the newest, it still makes a lot of noise in the car community, and will so for a very long time, like its predecessor, the R34. This car is a dream car, and will stay exactly that, a dream car, until I win the lottery or some shit. Have a great one, stay safe, and as always, keep it floored.